Hello everyone, I'm Amy here today just to talk a little bit about today's new moon in Sagittarius, solar eclipse. Every new moon is an initiation into the sign's energy. The sun enters the sign, and then we have an opposition from the moon, bringing a full moon and a time of reflection. And then the new moon comes along, and it's an initiation, an integration of the past amount of time, what we've learned from the energy of the sign, and how we're going to go forward from this point. I feel as we're at the end of the year and getting close to the end of the sign of Sagittarius itself, there's a lot about beginnings and endings going on with today's eclipse. Eclipses, I didn't used to pay much mind to eclipses until one hit my sun quite tightly. And then throughout the next year and a half, of course, eclipse patterns kept hitting other parts of my chart as well. And what it does is gives you a bit of an eye opener when you have an eclipse that hits something in your chart. And I say this because if it doesn't really hit anything tightly in your chart, you may not feel it as much. However, I think the energies have been heightened lately for everyone, so I think most everyone is feeling a little something lately. So Sagittarius is the sign of expansion, the sign of faith, and the sign of beliefs. And I know we talked about that in the ingress video about going past your belief systems or establishing belief systems that can be challenged or which can encompass belief systems which can encompass more than that which you are familiar with, more than that which you have been born into. To me, and this could just be me personally, but I feel as if there's a call for all of us to go beyond what our birth or familial ties or clan or tribal ties have been telling us to believe. That automatic belief system that you get when you enter this world and you enter a family, you enter a community, you may enter a religion, you may enter a political belief system, you may enter a belief in which football team that your people follow or your baseball team. These identifying beliefs that we take into our energy field and integrate. So I think this is a wonderful time at this new moon to decide what beliefs that you want to get rid of, what beliefs are not your beliefs, and then what beliefs that you'd like to keep and what beliefs that you'd like to expand upon. The card for Sagittarius, and of course I can't remember what we did last time, but it's Temperance is the tarot card for Sagittarius. This is from Kim Krans' deck. And Temperance is healing and renewal. The great blue heron remains calm and peaceful as she blends the opposing elements of fire and water. The Temperance card asks you to be a moderator, much like the heron. Focus on cooperation and compromise if you've been excessive in one aspect of your life. Practice self-restraint and moderation now. You'll find a new sense of healing and balance from bringing a little harmony back into your life. I also thought this card is interesting in her depiction of it with the fire and water, because we moved from the fire Mercury elemental year into the water years. So I don't know, just that little bit of bridging I'd like to bring up. The ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter, and the tarot card representing Jupiter is the Wheel of Fortune. And I know in Kim Krans' deck, again, it's a more positive spin on this wheel. And I think back from a tarot reader that I've been to in the past, and I loved the way he said, you can't win if you don't spin. And so I like that. I know in a lot of depictions of the tarot, the Wheel of Fortune's a little harsher. Whether day or night, the Wheel of Fortune is always in motion. Some call it fate, others destiny. It's possible to go for months or years without feeling its presence. But when this card appears, the eye of the wheel is fixed upon you. Don't be surprised if there's a change of course heading your way, something you'd least expect. Whatever happens to you during this time, know that it is bringing you closer to your life's purpose. So, I believe this is another theme, as I said, getting rid of beliefs and aligning with what your path is at whatever age you are at. Recently, I've felt that I'm so old to be finding this path again, but we keep finding our path again. So it's not just like, hey, you reached this one age, now you've found your path, woo, you're done. It's coming back again and again to one's path after taking this path and that little meander to get you back into where you're going. The Sabian symbol for this eclipse is from Linda Hill, and it is a bluebird, a sign of good luck and happiness, is standing at the door of the house. Love and happiness come by being warm and inviting, responding to your higher hopes, spreading love to all who enter your house or live nearby, a promise of happiness, of cottages and picket fences, a threshold, welcome mats, or bird song. The caution for the sign is denying happiness or good news from entering, the feeling that the grass is always greener somewhere else, or thinking that buying things will make life happier. One of the things when I read inviting and threshold, I think, again, at this new moon, this initiation, what are you consciously inviting into your home or into your awareness? And again, what would you like to welcome? How would you like your life to expand? How would you like your home to be enhanced and made more abundant, which are both Jupiter and Sagittarius things? The sidereal degree for this brings us into the nakshatra or moon sign of Jyesta, and that is the umbrella or the eldest sister, the chief star. And this area of the heavens has the power to conquer and gain courage, the sense of rising up to overcome. There's a sense of wielding your power responsibly, and it's ruled by Vishnu and Mercury. So Vishnu is the sustaining principle, and Mercury is the principle of communication. The symbol is the earring, the umbrella, a circular protective talisman, might be representative of Vishnu's disc. The ragam, I'm a little rusty today, is Divyamani, and in musical chakra, this is the 6th ragam in the 8th musical chakra of Vasu. And the Vasus are attendant deities of Indra and later Vishnu, and they are the 8 elemental gods responsible for all the aspects of nature. Vasu means dweller or dwelling place, and the Svadhisthana chakra, which is the sacral chakra, which is associated with Sagittarius and Jupiter, is also the dwelling place or one's abode. So there's something about inhabiting your body, inhabiting your space in a way that's balanced and hopeful and loving and joyful and creative at this time. So in the musical chakra system, we're talking about this occurring in the throat chakra. Communication and expression of our creativity. And creativity is always linked to the sacral chakra as well. So we kind of have this throat, which would be Gemini, which we'll talk a little bit about, opposing the Sagittarius or sacral. So we're connecting now instead of opposing, or opposing and connecting, right? It doesn't have to be so negative, the connotation of opposition. So it's the throat is our ability to speak the words we desire to speak and to create the things that we desire to create. At its heart is an exquisite lotus flower. The colors for this are the throat. For the throat are blue. The stones are blue topaz or a sapphire, a lapis lazuli or a celestite. Lotus, in flower essence, is a meditative aid. So lotus is grounding. It helps those suffering from spiritual inflation, which can also be a little Sagittarius or Jupiterian. Those whose spiritual experiences lead to a kind of hubris and who need to develop a healthy sense of humility. So again, kind of balancing the shadow Jupiter, shadow Sagittarius. It helps those whose psychic or spiritual experiences have disconnected them from life, enabling them to re-engage with life. Blue ruling the throat and the lungs and the thyroid. It's calming, relaxing, and healing. Blue topaz is a great stone. I wish I had some with me at this time. It has great manifesting properties. It's connected to joy and generosity and abundance and good health. Again, all really great Jupiter ideas, Sagittarius ideals. Blue topaz aids in clear communication. Recognize where you've strayed from your own truth, which again is something I'd like to emphasize. Where have you strayed from your own truth? Where have you put the beliefs of everyone else, what you hear on the media, what you hear from your family or friends or people you're around, when you've negated what you know to be true? So let's allow ourselves to come back into that at this time. The sense of truth and forgiveness. This blue topaz balances meridians in the body, and it helps direct energy where it's needed the most. Celestite is one of my favorite stones. It's peaceful, elevates the spirit. It gives you a sense of belonging, and not just to mankind, but to all of the universe and all of its dwellers. It's a powerful activator of the throat chakra, as well as the third eye and the crown chakra. It stimulates your spiritual senses and brings swift and dynamic connection to the higher realms. It's very calming, again, for the mind. It calms fears. It provides clear focus and is a good, smooth, transitional stone for when you meditate. So at this solar eclipse, just some of the aspects. Mars trines the sun and the moon, so I think there's an abundance of energy available for everyone now. There's an opportunity to build your self-confidence and to gain your enthusiasm, even at this time of great fatigue and where things are getting really cold up here in the north, which can set one back a little bit. But we just have to layer up and keep getting out there. It's a good time to set new goals. Every new moon is, but with Mars trining it, we have a little extra oomph, a little extra energy. it's a good time to start new projects. From astrologyking.com, one of the things they say is fortune favors the brave. So what better time to ask for fortune, which would be Jupiter Sagittarius, favoring the brave, taking that risk, being optimistic, spinning that wheel. So this is the time, people. Okay, so that said, spin that wheel, go forward, you got the energy. We also have Neptune squaring the sun and the moon. So Neptune always fogs things up. It always hides, makes everything a little bit more deceptive, misty, much filled with illusions. But it does so to allow you to cut through them. So the purpose is making things foggy so that you have to clear the fog and really see through. But if you don't have the moments of fogginess, you again kind of accept exactly where you are. Like, this is where I am, this is what I see, this is what I do. But again, fog alters so that you have to see past or beyond. Uranus just has a square and a half, but it's also, Uranus is the leading edge of the bowl pattern. I don't do a lot of work with patterns of the chart, but sometimes things pop out at me. And with Uranus as the leading edge, I'm just thinking there could be some interruptions or unexpected events, challenges to authority. But also great innovation is always present, and also thinking outside the box, maybe getting a connection, something a little more spiritual or out of the blue. That little lightning bolt of inspiration is usually a little more Uranian in nature. And I always like to reframe or rephrase things that, there's always every way that an aspect can occur, but if you have in your awareness all the possibilities, you can kind of put your energy towards the ones that are a little more favorable. At this time, the South Node is conjunct the Sun and the Moon, South Node in Sagittarius, and then the North Node in Gemini is 180 degrees away. So anytime the South Node is involved, it is this idea of, are you going to do your fallback? Are you going to do the way you stubbed your toe every single time that you've stubbed your toe for the last 50 years? Okay, that's one choice. And if you do, don't judge yourself. We've done it, all of us, many times. Do you find yourself dwelling in the past? Okay. We always have to look evolutionary-wise toward the North Node. Learn from the South Node. And again, forgive yourself for falling back into the South Node, but move forward into the North Node in Gemini. It's about releasing the past and old patterns to move ahead. And maybe even just realizing that you do it is enough. Maybe you don't have to today get rid of all the old things and old patterns. Maybe you just see them, and then from there you can step forward. I'm just going to go to my other page of notes here about that same thing, because again, this is the feelings that I am getting, but this could be because I am here in my hometown, in my dad's house, and what an opportunity to see one's old patterns than to literally put yourself back in your past. And what a blessing it is, especially at this time of year, especially at the end of this whole year. And really, I was writing notes separate from astrologically inclined notes, just energetic notes, and really thinking back to the fall of 2019 and how I knew something was changing. And I'm not alone in this. I'm sure many of you felt the same way. I knew things were changing, but I couldn't see or feel exactly what they were or are. And to be honest with you, I'm still not exactly sure. I have a better feeling and a better idea, but I think it's dependent on every step that I and we take. I mean, obviously, consciously going forward. So even a fall of 2019, I kind of saw the shape of this year. You know, and I know for myself, I went to India, I came back from India, and tried this, tried that, and universally, we've all been on this holding pattern. And instead of seeing it as this frustrating time of not going forward, I've been trying to reframe it as a time of, okay, we're here. And like I said, I'm literally here in my hometown. Why are we stopped? What can I get rid of? What am I not seeing? What pattern? What karmic ties are there to be acknowledged and then to be healed? And I know for myself, I am unable to stay the same. Like for me, it feels like staying the same would be like death. It would be denying the self that one is becoming. And that's, again, pretty universal. I mean, we can stay exactly where we are, doing exactly what we do, and defining ourselves by those actions and that sameness. Or we go forward into something we don't know, into being someone maybe we don't even know yet. And to me, that's so much more exciting. And I know it can be scary for people, giving up what they know or who they are or what they did. And we all have choices. So we're free to make these choices at this end of this year, December 14th today. We're gearing up. Saturn moves into Aquarius on the 17th of December. And just looking back, Saturn entered Aquarius in March 21st of this year, and it stayed in Aquarius until July 1st, and then it backed out, and it did its little time in Capricorn again, and now it'll be fully moving into Aquarius in a few days, December 17th, followed by Jupiter entering Aquarius on the 19th, and then the two of them will meet up for their 20-year rendezvous on the 21st, which is also the winter solstice. And I will be back with a video about that. I've already been doing some writing and collecting about that. So I guess this is just an invitation for the initiation. And a really, even though it's a beginning, which again next week with the winter solstice and the new cycle, it's also beginning and ending. So this, to me, these next couple weeks have all been about beginnings and endings. I should mention before I leave the eclipses that have occurred at this same degree, 23 degrees Sagittarius. The last one was June 15th of 2011, December 14th of 2001, June of 1992, June of 1984, and December of 1982. So if those dates maybe help you just to look back and see what was occurring in your life at that time, if there are any themes that are coming up, again, to be healed, and belief systems that are coming up for you to see them and not just be unconscious about it. There's nothing wrong, I should say, too, with having belief systems and believing what your family believes. I'm not saying, you know, screw it and be an Aquarius, just throw it all out. I am saying use discernment. See what your path is. You came here to be an individual. You didn't come here to be your father or your mother or anyone else in your family. They came here to do that for themselves. You came here to be yourself, to own your own voice. So much about communication and voice. And the more I read about the yoga of sound, just affirms this thought of we all have our own voice. Every single one of us, as unique as our fingerprints. And what a shame to come here and not use your voice, but use it in a loving way, a truthful way, a way of forgiveness, not a hateful, snarky, judgmental way. So I apologize if I've come off as being judgmental at all through this or any other video. I'm just saying let's all be really open and loving and tolerant and use temperance and spin that wheel of fortune. All right, thank you so much. Take care and namaste.